Portland Seed Fund's managing director, Angela Jackson, is taking the stage again to cheer on the 5 early stage finalists we all saw pitch at Pub Talk a few short weeks ago. Angela Jackson is co-founder and GP of the Portland Seed Fund, a high-performing seed fund with 4 funds and $24 million under management and numerous successful exits, including Otho. She has been named an Inc. magazine person to know in the Portland startup scene, the Tech Champion of the Year by Technology Association of Oregon, and a Woman of Influence Entrepreneur of the Year by Portland Business Journal. She is very proud to have played a role in creating 3,000 plus high-wage jobs and $1 billion plus of economic impact in Oregon from small seed investments over 10 years. As an advisor to Portland State University's leadership, she helps connect the highly diverse, heavily first-gen college student base with the future innovation and workforce demands of Oregon. She serves as the Portland chair for Tigard 21 and serves on the board of Lumen Learning and Angel Capital Association. Early in her career, Jackson was an ocean sailor on a traditionally rigged sailing ship. That's where she met her husband. He was crewing on a different ship, and they met on a dock in Baltimore. Who can say this? I think one person, and it's Angela. She grew up in a serial entrepreneur household where the dinner table conversation was the absolute best education. She's an avid traveler, a foodie, and a flamenco dancer, and she's an absolute pleasure to work with. So, Angela, come on up and join me. Sailing, investing, and flamenco. I like it, and apparently so did your husband. It all worked out in Baltimore, huh?
It's worked out pretty well.
Welcome. I'm gonna let you take it away.
Thank you, Shannon. It's great to see you back. You really know how to be large and in charge with this event. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. So I think the boozy breakfast brings out more people. I thought you would be louder, but you know, get the vibe going. This is an exciting time. So Shannon sort of showed you what led up to this moment. It is going to look like we're going to make an investment decision after a 3-minute pitch and your great questions. That's partially true because my partner, who I'd like to introduce right now, Steve Eichenlaub, the latest member of the Portland Seed Fund GP team, who many of you met at Pub Talk, he and I have some ideas about what Fund 4 will be investing in today, but no solid conclusions. So these pitches do matter. Your questions are really going to help us. I think you're going to think of stuff we might have forgotten to ask. So we're listening. I hope that you'll be really active in those questions after their 3-minute pitches. And really, I think without any further ado, let me just remind you, the Menti code, you'll see that come up again and again after the pitches, so that you can, if you're not in the house, you can get your questions in through Menti too, right? Yeah, all right. Okay. First up, we're going alphabetical order today. We've got the next great Latino media network, Daily Chella, and presenter Brandon Maxwell. Woohoo!
Is this the right pitch deck? Oh, there we go. Had me nervous for a second. Well, my name is Brandon, and I am the founder of a new Latino digital media outlet called the Daily Chella. But before I tell you a little bit about the problem I'm trying to solve, I want to tell you a little bit about how I got here. 20 years ago, I was a completely different person. I was a high school dropout, I was addicted to drugs, I was in and out of jail, and I was a gang member. Eventually, my life hit rock bottom, and I knew I needed to change the way I was living. I didn't want to be like my friends. So I enrolled in college, and I began to work on a degree in political science. My first year, I made the dean's list. My second year, I earned a scholarship. And my third year, I landed an internship opportunity working in Washington, D.C. Now, while I was in Washington, D.C., I began to write for some of the biggest publications in the country. The Washington Times, the Washington Examiner, The Hill, Salon, The Oregonian. It was like a dream come true in many ways coming from where I came from, but there was just one problem. I couldn't write about any of the things that I actually wanted to write about. Mainstream media was boring, it was sanitized, it was outdated. I wanted to write about issues from an unfiltered, raw, Chicano perspective. a Mexican-American perspective. So one day, out of frustration, I started writing about the things I really wanted to write about on my own blog, and something funny happened. The blogs, they took off. I started getting read more on my own blog than I was for some of the biggest publications in the country. And that's when it struck me. There was a hole in the market. So I took $70 and I launched the Daily Chela. Since we launched 24 months ago, we now have hundreds of paid subscribers, 5,000 newsletter subscribers, and 250,000 social media followers through our network. We've also been cited by NBC, Yahoo, The Washington Post, the LA Times, and Vox. Last year, I raised a friend's round, because my family's poor. This year, I'm raising a seed round so we can bolster our marketing, and expand to Roku. Now, I know I'm not the most conventional person that's going to be on this stage or in this room today. But I will say this. I believe that my unconventional background uniquely qualifies me to deal with the challenges that sometimes come with the startup world. Because I've never had the luxury to walk away from a problem in my life. And problems I did face, I often had to think creatively to solve. Latinos are the fastest growing demographic in the country. They wield $1.7 trillion in purchasing power. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm just asking you to consider investing and helping me meet that demand. And I thank you for your time.
Beautiful pitch. Oh, we're going to do some Q&A.
That's right, questions.
Well done, Brandon. So again, we have menti.com for your Q&A. If we could populate that slide, I think that will help people. And also, actually, everyone will be managing through Menti. The code is 74033445. Brandon, I actually have a question for you. One thing that we talked about a lot yesterday during our seminars was the importance of a good team. And I'm wondering if you could speak to your current team and how you'd like to see it grow with investment.
Sure. Well, I feel really fortunate because we actually have one of the head editors from the LA Times as one of our advisors who's helped us through this a lot. He runs Latino Life over at the LA Times. We have a network of about 30 contributors and writers across the country. We're not just based in Oregon. We are incorporated in Portland, but we have contributors in San Jose, San Diego, Colorado, across the Southwest and West Coast where most of our demographic lives. So.
And then what would be your vision? Like, what would be your dream team member to bring on board?
A dream team to bring on board? Well, I would love to bring on podcasters and writers, I think, who have the same degree of experience working in politics. So maybe 5-10 years of experience and have built-in followings and can write about issues without worrying about what other people are going to think. So fearless people that I'll meet along the way. A lot of our writers and contributors we've attracted through our writing. So I think we'll continue to bring on new people as we go.
I can imagine, and you seem to get very excited at the mention of growing the team, which is really, really cool. Okay, why Roku versus other platforms?
Well, so most media outlets right now are going that direction. So New York Times, LA Times, Daily Wire, Blaze, conservative, liberal, it doesn't matter. Everyone's expanding podcasts onto Roku, iOS. It gives people an option to be able to subscribe with their changer and an option to be able to watch from home, right? Not everybody's on their phone. It kind of depends on the demographic sometimes, so that's why we want to expand to Roku. It opens up new revenue opportunities and a bigger audience.
Awesome, okay. And what topics are you covering that are not covered by other media? So any examples do you want?
Sure, well, the problem with the media that exists right now that's Latino-centric is it's all East Coast based. It's based in Miami, it's based in New York. As a result, you often get Latinos that aren't representative of the biggest Latino demographic, which is Mexican Americans. 63% of all Latinos are Mexican Americans. But almost all the media is Puerto Ricans, Cubans. I have nothing against any other people. I'm just saying what happens is you miss the nuances that exist in those communities. And it's part of the reason we've been able to grow like we have is that we know those nuances because that is our community. So.
That's great. What is your business model and how do you make money?
So right now, our business model is paid subscribers. As we continue to grow our audience and our following, we will expand to more traditional ad revenue through companies and things like that. But the thing we're most excited with is using OTT apps to give brands and artists an opportunity to be able to let viewers click on links to their products through our videos, and then they would.
Okay, great. I think we have another question from the audience. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, you mentioned having hundreds of subscribers, but tens of thousands of followers on social media, which actually, I believe you have 250,000 followers on social media. How do you plan to convert those followers into active participants in your revenue stream?
Sure, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so we have 250,000 social media followers through our network. We've built a network. Not everybody in that network is under our brand because we want to be able to give advertisers options to be able to reach the audience without being affiliated with politics. We work like a funnel, like any other company. Basically, our bread and butter in terms of paid subscribers is we get a lot of newsletter subscribers that come from social media. We start sending them newsletters, on a weekly basis, and we get paid subscribers through that. That would be our strongest source of paid subscribers right now.
Great. Let's go to the next question. How do you compete with Latino-specific offerings on larger media sites like NBC News and CNN?
Sure.
Okay, so just a little more specific question.
Well, I think the reason that companies like us and startups are going to thrive when compared to NBC and Yahoo or CNN is the same reason a lot of these other smaller media companies are thriving. They feel outdated. They feel safe. They feel sanitized. They feel biased. And so I think that we're giving Latinos an option for media that is an alternative to the mainstream media, while also speaking to issues that are important to them. It's a little bit more fierce approach. So
yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I know there's a certain celebrity who likes it a lot too. You got an endorsement from someone very well known.
Do we? Oh, Cheech. That's right, Cheech.
Everybody knows Cheech.
Cheech Marin. If you don't know Cheech Marin, he was from
a lot of things. Up in Smoke, notably.
Yeah. So yeah, Cheech Marin actually invited us out to get a tour of his new art museum before he invited the LA Times. So we get stories all the time before the bigger papers.
I feel like if you've been endorsed by Cheech, you've been endorsed by the world. So, sure. Brandon, beautiful pitch. Thank you so much for joining us. Wishing you the best of luck, and can't wait to see what happens next.
Thank you.
Excellent job. Brandon, you set us up really well with a great pitch. And this is my pet peeve as someone who has talked to hundreds of thousands, it feels like, of entrepreneurs. They don't handle Q&A well. Did you notice how well he handled his questions? He got right to the answer. And as a result, you guys got to ask a bunch of questions. It's really easy for an entrepreneur to burn through 5 minutes seeking a good answer in there somewhere. And then, boom, the time runs out. So props to Brandon for that. I see a few more people have arrived. I also want to welcome other members of the Portland Seed Fund diaspora as I see you. That includes other managing partners. I got Jim Houston in the house today. Another partner is running the BVC show, Jen Lynch. We'll have lots of opportunities to thank Jen for the terrific job she's done leaning into her bent community. But I also want to welcome those former entrepreneurs who are now investors in the BVC LLC. This is what we do, people. This is why we do it. We're creating this virtuous cycle. Formerly poor entrepreneurs become successful through their companies, sell them, become accredited, and start reinvesting. So all this stuff is happening here in the house today. Love it. With that, I think it's time for another pitch. What do you think? All right. Let's bring to the stage Ashwin Datta with his company Instinct, all the way from Hillsboro, Oregon, tackling a really tough problem right now, a wireless sensor system that detects wildfires and brings real-time environmental monitoring to the fingertips of forest and natural resource managers. Ashwin.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ashwin Datta from Hillsboro, Oregon, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Instinct. Instinct brings real-time environmental monitoring, data, and insights to forestry and natural resource management. I actually don't have the clicker. Over just 30 years, wildfires in the US have gotten 6 times more frequent and 12 times larger on average. This is concerning for all of us here in the Northwest. But it's especially problematic for companies in natural resource management, like Weyerhaeuser, a timber company which lost $1 billion in assets in the 2020 wildfire season alone. One way to assess wildfire risk is through testing fuel moisture and soil conditions. But one timber company even told us that to test soil conditions on their sites, they send teenagers into the woods to poke the ground with sticks. But accelerating climate change is making environmental conditions more volatile than ever before, and natural resource management industries need easier access to better data in order to adapt. That's why Instinct is developing an environmental monitoring platform, a hardware-software hybrid solution that serves as a one-stop shop for all environmental telemetry and data needs. Out at the site, a wireless sensor network, a cluster of hardware devices, is collecting data on parameters of interest and relaying it to the server in real time. Our system is standalone and does not rely on any existing communication infrastructure. And it's physically scalable, meaning that it can cost-effectively adapt to any size land area. Then, on the server side, we're running pattern recognition on incoming data to provide actionable and predictive insights to our customers. And a web and mobile app allow for easy deployment, interface, and use of the product. Modularity is key. Through our plug-and-play solution, we can interface many different types of sensors to our system to tackle a wide array of pain points with ease. And this allows us to provide more value to specific customer segments while also easily expanding into others. And we deliver this value to our customers through a straightforward HaaS and SaaS hybrid model. Customers get the most flexibility by renting exactly the hardware and software toolkits they need when they need them. And we're clearly onto something here, as we landed a $50,000 paid pilot with Weyerhaeuser, the second largest timber company in the world, which, by the way, we just successfully deployed this week. Shout out to my team over there for making it happen. We also landed a pilot with the sixth largest timber company in the US, with more pending. And with all of this progress, it's clear to me that we have the right team to make it happen. I developed the idea for Instinct during my studies in environmental engineering at MIT. My co-founder and our CTO, Trevor Bashon, started his career in sensors and instrumentation engineering at ExxonMobil. Our embedded systems engineer, Tim Helmer, specializes in power systems design, having worked for a solar company in the past. And our full-stack software engineer, Gabe Larrabee, has helped bring a new product to market firsthand in an ocean monitoring startup. Our core advisors on both the hardware and software sides are both former founders, and along with our networks from Techstars, MIT, and Colorado School of Mines, we're grateful to have surrounded ourselves with the right people to vet our strategies and help us make the right decisions. All in all, we're a driven, energetic team, and all four of us spend most of our free time in these natural spaces that we're working to protect. We're extremely passionate about making a difference here, and that drives us forward above all else. So join us in enabling humanity to take better care of our planet.
Beautiful pitch, Ashwin. This is the second time I've heard you pitch, and though I don't understand how it works, I'm totally in. And I just want to know how you got the idea for this.
I was starting out doing sort of a research internship at MIT with a professor, and I think there was an end goal of some kind of sensor technology, but there was no idea, what it would be. Read a lot of studies for several months and decided I want to take this a different direction.
Oh, it's just awesome. Okay, so audience questions for Ashwin. The Menti.com code is 74033445. Looks like we have some questions, quite a few actually. How many sensors are needed per acre to be effective? How much does it cost to get an effective number of sensors into the forest? Great question.
So that depends exactly on what the application the customer wants. For wildfire detection, from our preliminary testing, it takes about 4 sensors per acre to get, cover every square inch of that, but that can vary based on the customer, the land, and the requirements.
And then is there a do you have a kind of average cost on that?
Yeah, so essentially it depends on the stack of sensors that you put on the system, but we have a cluster of sensors around the $2,000 range, and they go up based on the requirements that the customer needs. And you can also reuse and move that cluster around as you need to.
And you deployed the $50,000, you started that contract this week for Weyerhaeuser?
That's right.
So awesome. Okay, let's go to the next question. How is Instinct powered?
So we are fully battery powered. Our collector unit right now, or our central sort of base unit, we have a line power option. We're also developing an option that recharges through solar. But our sensor units are fully battery powered, and as of now, we already have a battery life well over a year, well over the needs of most of our customers.
I love the sound of that. Okay, let's go to the next question. What type of data does it collect?
Many different things. Right now, with our current pilot, we're looking at a lot of ambient air parameters, so temperature, humidity, wind speed, and wind direction. We're also looking at solar radiation. We're also looking at some soil parameters, soil moisture and soil temperature, with soil nutrient kind of on deck for some of the future things we're looking at.
Great. Let's keep going through the questions because they're coming in. Where do you plan on storing all of the data that is processed?
So we have a database, we're fully fleshing out how we store data there. We also allow the customer to store their data locally if they desire, or download it as they desire. And eventually there'll be a process that we're working on to monetize that data as well. So we'll have a service for that, or we'll be using a third-party platform to do that.
It seems like you've really thought of everything. Let's see question number 5. Are these sensors used primarily for fire suppression? And if so, how does that square with modern forestry policies which encourage controlled burning?
Great question. Actually, the fact of the matter is only 3% of the forest area that needs to be controlled burned right now is being controlled burned. And we see that as an issue with people having to drive an hour out somewhere to collect simple data. The largest wildfire in this season in the lower 48, the Calf Canyon fire in New Mexico, was a controlled burn that got away. It wasn't set correctly. And so our sensors could be a key tool in helping monitor controlled burns and make sure they're safe, but also set up for a controlled burn ahead of time and give the predictive insights of when the best time to burn a certain area might be.
You are so smart, Ashwin. Okay, where do you see Instinct in 5 years as a company if you get the support you need? That's a fun question.
Yeah, I think our goal is to really be the one-stop shop for environmental telemetry of all sorts, and that goes far beyond forestry. We've talked to folks in viticulture, we've talked to folks in other parts of the agricultural space. We want to be the one-stop shop for all sorts of environmental data, for any natural resource management, for academia and for research, for maybe insurance companies that are pulling insurance from their customers in California. We just think more data is going to allow us to take better care of the world, and we want to be the main provider of that.
Amazing. Okay, let's see. I think we have one more question. What is the lifespan of each sensor? How durable are they? Are they made of eco-friendly materials?
We are aiming for a lifetime of our sensors of 5 years. It's very much the goal is a deploy and forget sort of thing. We're also very interested, and this is something I thought about from the get-go, is really using hemp plastic, because I know Oregon's a big producer of hemp, and this is a great place to grow hemp, and I think using hemp plastics to produce our sensors would be a really smart idea. So it's something that, at this stage, we're building everything by hand, but as we go forward, we're looking into that more.
Okay, great. And have you looked? Oh, Angela, looks like maybe you have a question.
Unless you have a question, I have a question.
Oh, well, I was just curious a little bit more about the hemp plastics. Have you started looking into that already?
No, not
okay,
yet.
It's just kind of like
we're pretty spread thin at the moment with the challenges that we have, so we'll get there, but one thing at a time.
That makes sense.
So my question is, how are you going to scale up the business of the business? Clearly, it takes a lot of energy to focus on the tech. But what about the rest? Yeah,
so I think a big part of it is the design choices and product choices we've been making right now to make this more scalable. So part of that plug and play piece is the idea that any customer can order our baseboard to start out with and rent that, and then kind of rent and plug the software, the sensor modules that they want. So we can easily just sell to all sorts of customers of all sizes, and they can still have custom requirements through that process.
Ashwin, such an excellent pitch. Well done. Thank you for being here. So excited to see what you do next.
Thank you, Ashwin. Coming up next to the stage, all the way from Bend, Oregon, local company Osheru and CEO Patty Bueller. Osheru is a device that simplifies upper eyelid surgery, improving both vision and appearance for patients.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Dr. Patricia Bueller, and I've been an eye surgeon here in Bend for the past 30 years. During that time, I've done thousands of blepharoplasties, or eyelid lift procedures. These procedures improve peripheral vision by up to 25%, as well as making the patient look younger and more revitalized. There's over 350,000 of these procedures done in the US each year, and 1.3 million worldwide. The problem with traditional blepharoplasty is it takes an experienced surgeon up to an hour to perform at a cost to the patient of $4,000. There's bleeding requiring cautery and wound closure requiring suturing, and the patient can have 2 weeks of disfiguring, bruising, and swelling, and lost work. Despite these problems with the procedure, there's been little innovation in this space for the past 2 decades. My innovation insight came when I was at an ancient Egyptian medicine exhibit. The Egyptians removed this extra skin by compressing it between 2 small twigs, and the skin deprived of blood supply would fall off within 5 days. Similarly, there's devices on the market for skin tag removal and circumcision that work with a similar concept. Based on this idea, I designed and patented the eyelid lift device. Our device reduces bruising and bleeding and eliminates cautery and suturing. A procedure that usually takes up to an hour can be done in less than 10 minutes, and here's how. The unique contour of our device fits the orbit, the contour of the orbit, and it has clear plastic so you can see all the tissue that you're actually grasping in the device itself. There'll be 2 devices in a kit so that an accurate and symmetric amount of tissue can be removed from both upper eyelids. There's jaws that compress the tissue, as well as a blade that removes the extra tissue so that commercially available tissue glue can then be applied. In 2021, I founded a company, Osheru, to develop and commercialize the eyelid lift device. We have a patented prototype, we've done proof of concept in an animal skin model, and we've done cadaver labs to demonstrate the superiority of our eyelid lift device compared to traditional blepharoplasty, with shorter surgical times, more symmetric results, and sutureless wound closure. We have a talented team of individuals that have surgical experience as well as medical device development experience. Oops, wrong one. So our next steps are to go to market. Our FDA Class 1 device should be available for use in patients in Q2 of 2023. And we are seeking funding for commercialization, building our team, and performing a clinical trial. Our goal is to capture 5% of the worldwide market for blepharoplasty, which has a total addressable market of $5.2 billion right now, and we'd like to do that within 5 years. We're hoping that you will help support our company so that Osheru can bring this disruptive technology, allowing many more people access to this vision and appearance-enhancing procedure. Many more people who need it will have access to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. This is just so exciting, so exciting. And one question I have is, we have an existing market. Do you think that that market will increase as the procedure becomes more accessible, becomes more
Absolutely.
affordable? So it's actually a much larger market.
Yes. Right now, the most common person to have a upper eyelid blepharoplasty is usually a white, urban, well-off patient, usually a woman. And obviously, there's a lot of people who would benefit from an improvement in their peripheral vision of up to 25%. And as the population continues to age, I think we'll have more and more people that will be interested in this procedure, especially if they don't have to take all the time off work and have that disfiguring, bruising, and swelling. So I think the market will definitely grow.
I think it's such an interesting procedure because it's not something you know you're going to need until you need it. And the idea of having something so much better to receive you when it's time is just excellent. So let's see here. Does the procedure need to be performed regularly in order to be effective? So they're asking, does it need to be performed more than once?
So most people only have one blepharoplasty in their whole life. There's a few people who get one maybe 20 years after the first one, but usually it's a one-time thing.
One and done. Okay. What does Osheru mean?
Osheru is in honor of the Egyptian kind of idea that I got when I was at that ancient Egyptian medicine exhibit. OS is Latin for left eye, and Heru is short for the Horus. So the eye of Horus is a regenerating god, Egyptian god.
Oh, that's so beautiful. When you had the idea, did it come immediately, or were you like at home in bed and then you sat up in the middle of the night and you're like, I've got it? What was it like, Patty? Tell me.
It was a long time ago that I was in that museum with my husband, Newt, and I've always been fascinated by the history of medicine, and so I just thought, gosh, that is the most amazing thing. And then after doing blepharoplasties for the last 25 years, and spending a lot of time on stopping bleeding and doing the suturing, which is what a lot of the time is taken. I just thought it would be great to do something new that would make it a lot easier on the surgeon and on the patient.
Brilliant. Okay, let's go to the next question. Are you interested in adapting your product to other cosmetic issues such as skin tags like the Egyptians did, or are you solely focused on eyelids at this time?
I am not solely focused on eyelids. I think that this product is going to be excellent for this use in upper eyelid surgery, but I think it can also be used for brow surgery, cheek surgery if needed, underarm surgery. So there's lots of extra skin that people get as they get older, and they might want it to be removed in a simple fashion.
That's amazing. Okay, great presentation. Thank you. How many successful treatments have you performed, and what's the success rate?
So I've done thousands of blepharoplasty procedures with traditional methods, but in recent years I've used some hemostats and things that kind of simulate what our device will do. The device, we've done cadaver studies, but we haven't actually used it in patients yet. We'll be doing that in Q2 of 2023.
Great. And are you planning your own direct sales go-to-market strategy, or would you partner with the larger medical device companies' distributor network? Great question.
It is a great question. It remains to be seen at this point. We'll be marketing directly to surgeons. There's about 8,000 surgeons that do blepharoplasty in the United States. So we'll be contacting them directly and doing sales initially on our own. But there may be opportunities to partner with others that distribute medical devices to surgeons.
Great. I think we had 2 other questions, if we can bring the question screen back up. So you've done many of these on cadavers, but it seems to be like a sure thing, right? Like what you're seeing is like exactly the result you'd want to see.
None of the cadavers have complained at all.
I love that.
And they're so happy with the results.
What a relief. Yeah, they just recovered really well, as you would try to do. Okay, I think there were 2 more questions. Was I wrong on that? Was I reading right? Angela, hit it.
I have one, if you want to wait, or if you want to take mine instead of the one on the slide. Same question about the business of the business. You talked about some of the sales choices, but what would be your first business hire?
So we need a clinical operations person and a marketing person would be our next 2 business hires. One will be helping the operations person. The clinical operations person will be help us manage the clinical trial and also recruiting other surgeons to be doing the first 100 cases with our device.
Patty, it's just so very exciting. I didn't sleep well last night. I'm like, do you have one of those in your purse? Can we just see how it works?
2.
So exciting, and I really, really look forward to seeing what happens next with this. It's a great, great pitch. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks, Alan.
Three down, 2 to go. Doesn't this go fast at 3 minutes? And these awesome question answerers and askers, by the way. Great questions coming from y'all. Let's bring up to the stage another Central Oregon company and CEO. This is Range Revolution from Madras, world's first leather company, luggage, purses, etc., using only traceable and regenerative hides. And let's hear it all from CEO founder Kate Havstad-Kassad.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, my name is Kate Havstad-Kassad. I am the founder and CEO of Range Revolution. We are the world's first regenerative leather luggage company. I am a 4-time founder. I am a first-generation farmer and rancher, a designer, and a warrior for local food systems. So to provide some context to this conversation, I want to show you a before and after of what happens on rangelands when the tool of holistic planned grazing of cattle is utilized. These are rangelands that we manage here in Central Oregon that were desertifying due to the fact that there was no animal impact for over 7 years. Using the tool of holistic planned grazing of cattle, we have seen the land regenerate. Now, raise your hand if you know how the fiber in your clothing was produced. There's a reason that fashion supply chains are so opaque. Fashion is one of the largest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. 65% of the industry's textiles are petroleum-based. Meanwhile, all the hides coming from regenerative ranches are being thrown into the trash. This is a design flaw, and Range Revolution is the solution. 88% of global respondents feel strongly that companies should be helping to improve the environment. For these consumers, shopping is frustrating. They want transparency, and they want their purchases to improve the environment. They want companies like Range Revolution. Range Revolution is categorically first to market as the regenerative disruptor in the handbag and luggage sector. Our supply chain is backed by ecological outcomes data, showing that our designs are byproducts of land regeneration. The handbag market was a $50 billion industry in 2021. It is projected to be a $78 billion industry by 2028. Handbags have the highest margin of any category in the fashion industry. Our margins range from 50 to 75% based on wholesale and direct-to-consumer models. So Range Revolution will be cash flow positive by year 3, and we will have $5 million of net operating profit by 2028. We've made great progress over the past year. We tested the market at a trade show in Las Vegas, and with only a single design, we did $30,000 in sales at that show. We are in conversations with several global retailers that do over $1 billion of sales a year. I was able to recruit a coveted handbag designer, Sally Ann Trenchard. She led design teams at Coach, Ralph Lauren, Armani, and Levi's. She brings to Range Revolution a wealth of industry experience. And we secured a proven manufacturing partner that can scale with us. So the market opportunity is very large. We are leaders of this category, and I am a proven leader with the most authenticity to bring this brand to market. We are opening up a current round in the spring, and we seek capital investment partners who want to put their money to work building companies that provide solutions to our greatest ecological and social challenges.
Very well done. Beautiful pitch, Kate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
So, I think you pretty much just solved everyone's problems while giving everyone a beautiful new bag. These are the bags, and you have additional designs coming out as well, correct?
We have 13 designs that have been through sampling and are ready for production.
And who is sampling those bags, Kate?
You can find us at Cowboy Christmas in December in Las Vegas. Yeah.
Very good, because I would like to sample one of those.
You got it.
So how did you come up with the idea for this? Was this just kind of one step follows another, or?
Yeah, so my hat company, Have Said Hat Company, I wanted to build a luggage piece for hat people. And I wanted to find materials that align with the rest of my ethos, like how I live the rest of my life. I care a lot about where our food comes from, how our food impacts the world. And so I set out to find hides that align with my ethos. And that was when I learned that all the hides are being thrown into the trash. And it blew my mind. It made me incredibly sad. It's super disrespectful. We should be utilizing the entire carcass if we're eating meat. And so that set me on this journey 2 years ago.
It's just beautiful. Okay, we have audience questions coming in. How quickly can Coach or other established brands replicate your offering?
Yeah, well, I'll say they'll never be able to replicate our model because we are 100% regenerative sourcing. Coach and Kate Spade, they might introduce a single design that is regenerative, but they will never shift their entire supply chain. So that would be my answer to that.
It will never happen. What is the biggest challenge to scalability?
Well, building the supply of hides, which is what I've been working on for 2 years. So, it takes buy-in from our processors. So you need the slaughterhouses and the beef processors to understand, at this point, the hides are a liability. They're paying to incinerate or dispose of them into the landfill. We need to help the processors understand, with a little bit of upfront investment in the systems to preserve the hides, there is a value-added marketplace for them. That is Range Revolution's purpose. We are building market opportunity to incentivize better practices from the ranchers and getting these hides out of the trash and back into the supply.
It's amazing how many problems you actually solve with this. So what is the biggest challenge? Oh, I'm sorry, let's get to the next one. I used to sell handbags and understand how competitive the industry is. How are you planning to easily communicate and land the message of your mission and your differentiators to consumers?
This is probably my favorite part of this project. I am a natural-born storyteller, and I love to talk about regenerative agriculture. So, video, on-the-ground stories with the ranchers. I have personal relationships with our producers. So it's going to be rich in story, and that is honestly my strongest suit.
Yes, you've done it.
Yeah, I've done
a couple of times.
Yeah, I've built story brands before.
Also, the bags are gorgeous, so there's that part that I think
they're the best.
I'm almost a little sweaty being this close to them. Okay, do you have plans to develop other sustainable products?
You just can't predict what the future will look like. We'll see where we're at in 10 years. I do believe that if you spread yourself too thin, you can just run around spending a ton of money on R&D. And I have been strategic about focusing on handbags because their margins are so large. So we're going to focus on handbags and luggage and really put our stake in the sand there.
I'm going to put in a request for a belt. What are the price points of your bags?
Yeah, anywhere from $450 to $850.
Great. So you can set up in a firm and pay it off in 4 chunks, and there you have it.
Don't do that.
Don't do that? Okay, don't do it. Just save up. All right. Your intended hide sourcing seems very fragmented. How do you find hide suppliers?
Yeah, well, being a producer myself, it's my network of people, really. So in Oregon, we have just within Oregon, we could be aggregating all the hides we need for Range Revolution's production. And that is my goal. I want to focus on our eco-region. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is all very relationship-based, which I think is
Yes.
something really special.
Yeah.
What's your exit strategy? Oh, I like it.
Well, this company is definitely going to be built to sell. Depending on how it performs, will we sell or not? I think we'll just take our time and find out. There was a market reference I included in one of those slides of a company that is very comparable to our model, and they exited in 2019 with a $100 million buyout by a Japanese holding company. So yeah, we have an exit strategy, but we'll see if we exit or not.
So it's looking pretty good. I think, too, for those of you curious, take a look at Kate's other brands, Casad Family Farms, Hafsad Hat Company, and also Agricultural Connections, and you will get it. She's not messing around. Beautiful pitch. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
really
thank
excited
you.
to see what happens next.
Great job, Kate. Before we bring up the last presenting company in the early stage track, I just want to throw out there an invitation to any of you seeing one of these early companies. If you're interested in talking to us, the Portland Seed Fund 4 team, who will be deploying part of Fund 4 in at least one of these companies, it's always exciting to find other investors who want to come in with us. And one of the fun things about Ben Venture Conference is that kind of stuff happens all the time in the halls, at the cafe shops, over the drinks. So you've seen me up here. I pointed out Steve Eichenlaub. You saw him at Pub Talk. Find one of us if any of this interests you, and we'll scratch it up. Okay, let's now bring to the stage our final early stage presenter, Blake Reeser, all the way from Tigard, Oregon, with TapeDeck, a mobile app that connects people through online conversation.
When I was 20 years old, I fell in love. It taught me that relationships are one of the most precious things that we have in our lives. Fast forward 3 years, we're on separate paths. I moved halfway around the world. I lived in Europe. And I wanted to start dating again. So I hopped online. I started downloading dating apps, picked out my best photos, and started playing the game. Swipe, swipe, swipe. Months go by. I'm exhausted, I'm burnt out, no connections to show for. By raise of hands, who here in the audience has used or knows somebody that has used a dating app before? Have you ever heard of somebody complain about them? I set out to solve my own problem and hopefully some of yours. My name is Blake Reeser. I'm the founder and CEO of TapeDeck, an audio social app that connects people through conversation. According to Google, the next billion users of the internet prefer voice over typing. Our thesis is the best way to get to know someone is to just start talking. On TapeDeck, instead of wasting time swiping through photos, you match by talking. You send them an audio message. We release one prompt to everyone. New prompts come out every week. If you like the prompt, you record a response. Here's a fun example of a submission just last week.
I'm from Bend, Oregon, and there's this really fun cliff jumping spot called Steelhead Falls. And me and all my friends got together and went to Steelhead Falls and went cliff jumping, and it was a lot of fun.
How much more authentic is that than just a picture? You get a sense of their personality. You get to know them a little bit more. It's a stronger signal. And then the last step, the most important step, instead of just swiping, you send them an audio message back. You just start talking. So we built this product and launched it 3 weeks ago at OSU. In that period of time, we've already signed up over 1,000 new members, produced nearly 100 matches. Our growth strategy is to launch at college campuses across the Northwest, replicating those same strategies that worked at OSU. Tabling, sponsorships, giveaways. Average acquisition cost right now is about $4. And we cover those costs through monthly subscriptions. The app will be free to download, and then for a monthly fee, you can have additional filters, like Love is Blind mode, where pictures start blurry and you have to listen before you look. Unlimited replies, unlimited skips, and additional filters to fine-tune your search. By the end of the school year, we will be at 10 campuses. We will release our first paid plan, and we will have acquired our first 20,000 users. Today, 50% of relationships start on the internet. It is our mission at TapeDeck to be the most authentic way to connect online. Thank you.
Beautiful pitch. Okay, so you launched.
We
you
launched.
picked up 1,000 users, 100 matches. Any anecdotes from that trial?
People are having fun.
I bet
People
they
are having fun. Me and my team love sitting through and listen to all the audio submissions just because it's just so powerful. Hearing people, share little anecdotes about their life, little stories of things they did over the summer or what they like to do with their friends. It's just so much more insightful than just pictures.
So it's awesome. You're responding to a real problem that we all have. We know we need these apps. We know they don't quite work, and you're like, I have a better idea. It's very exciting. So we have audience questions coming in. It seems that TapeDeck is a feature and not a product. How do you keep other dating apps from adding a voice feature?
Got that one before. That's fair. I like to start off by saying the average user in this space actually has 4 dating apps installed at one point. So you don't have to beat everybody in the market. You just need to be competitive. You need to be top of mind. The biggest players in our space, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, one of them actually has already introduced an audio prompt. Now, the difference is it's not required. It's not the first thing you see. It doesn't autoplay. But more importantly, you still swipe if you like somebody. On our platform, you have to put forward the extra effort of sending them a message if you're interested. Tinder is the most popular in the space. And you ask any 20-something what Tinder's used for, and they'll all say hookups. So even if they did go forward and added an audio feature, it would just be a hookup app with audio. And the market is gravitating towards more authentic relationships, and that's what our brand's going to be known for.
So it really is how people feel about your brand, what they think of when what they associate with it. Let's see the next question. How does the system match people? Are the filters based on NLP tech?
To begin with, you have basic filters such as distance, gender, and then age. And then over time, we will add to those filters that will be part of the premium plan if you want to have a more fine-tuned search. But basically, if you send someone a message, they will receive it, get to listen to it, and then decide whether or not to continue the conversation.
Great. What is your strategy for avoiding abuse and harassment?
It's a great question. We make it very simple to report or block any bad behavior on the app. It's just as easy to block or report someone than it is to accept and move on to have a conversation. So we take any self-reporting very seriously. We also have our own internal team that goes through and does our own moderation policies. So, bad photos aren't allowed. Bad audios on profiles aren't allowed.
If you are getting the kind of traction rolling out, why not bootstrap?
We have bootstrapped. Been working on this for about a year and a half. The first year was all on bootstrap from the founders. But when it comes down to it, we need capital to grow our app across the country. And we need some key personnel to help us do that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Do you have any data to back up your users' willingness to pay?
That's a great question. We actually have built out several of the features that we plan to offer in our paid plan, and they're all filters that get used quite a bit. People fine-tuning what they're looking for, toggling on Love is Blind mode. What we see in the industry is Tinder, Bumble, these big competitors, they convert about 15% of their free users to paid plans. So we conservatively estimate we can convert about 10% of our users to a paid plan at a more competitive price.
That's great. I think we have one more question. Angela, did you have any questions for Blake?
How much money do you think you would need to raise over, say, a 3-year time period to scale just the markets that you pointed to? And that includes adding all the moderation, the customer support, all of it.
3 years, will be nationwide, $4 million.
Blake, are you having fun doing this?
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's an awesome solution, and I'm really excited to see it explode. I think it's one of those things that once it takes off, it's going to have a mind of its own in many ways. So I hope you'll check back in with us. Beautiful pitch. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Angela. Way to get us started off on the right foot. How about a round of applause for Angela and all of our presenters?